And we're back at LegionsCon 2024. This is Sunday, almost gone, and we are here with the man of the hour, Eric Treadaway. Eric, we are more than excited for all the announcements, but this thing that we have in front of you right there, it is incredible. Tell us, please, everything about this dragon. What do you think about the reaction of the fans, and what do you guys expect for everything else coming after this announcement?
Okay. Well, first off, yeah, I mean, the reaction from the fans was absolutely amazing. We had hoped for a good response, and it was so much more than we even could have imagined. Like, people were on their feet, people were gasping. It was just an amazing moment. Like, the energy in that room when that happened was just one of the coolest things you could possibly imagine. And so right now we're standing here. We've had the prototypes, the paint masters on display all weekend. And last night, a box showed up yesterday. We opened it up last night in the back room, probably like 2 o'clock in the morning. And this is a pre-production model of the dragon that came straight from our factory in China. This is an engineering model where all of the engineering has been worked through at the factory level, so we can take a first pass and see how articulation works, see how the ratcheted joints work, see how the figure holds poses, how the tail, how the tail works, things like that. And so, so for us, like, we've seen this on screen. We've put it together in prototype form. So even for us, this was the first time where we really get to see this piece just one step closer to a toy. We can pick it up and, play with the joints and stuff, spread the wings out. And, so far this is very exciting because it really is. It's like, it's just that much closer to being a toy. Because, the prototypes are great to look at, and, Sherry did a beautiful job painting them and all that, but to be able to actually put your hands on the figure and see how those joints bend and how those wings move and stuff like that, it's a blast.
Okay, can you walk us through the actual model right there, and I mean, if you can explain to people like what we have here, because we don't know, and you're the expert, of course, in this area.
Right. So this is the stage where the factory's been doing all of their engineering, and we've been going back and forth with the factory, working on this for several months now, trying to get ahead of the game so that by the time we put this up for sale, that China portion of the process is well underway. So we can also get this into fans' hands a little quicker than they might expect, which it's just such an exciting piece that we want to keep that excitement going. And so, as I said, this has been engineered. All the pieces on this are hollowed out, so they're closer to what they would be like in production. The type of plastic that this has been printed in, especially on the wings, is closer to the plastic that we'll actually see in production, as opposed to the prints that we do in the studio. Every one of these joints has been engineered in a way that closely mimics what the final production piece will be. So all the joints in the limbs, the wings, some of the tail, they're all ratcheted joints, which any of us action figure collectors that have had a large scale item know those ratcheted joints are important. That's what keeps the figure from falling over. You certainly don't want a giant figure like this falling off your shelf. And so, again, that gives us, this is a tool for us now to make notes, see what we think is working well, what needs improvement. And then we have this in our hands now, so we can directly speak to the factory and react to this, basically, and start really zeroing in on what those final tolerances and final fits are going to look like on the actual toy when it gets into to fans' hands. One of the things that we've been experimenting with on this too is each one of these tail pieces is a separate segment going down to this point here. This piece, like once we get to this point on the tail, this is going to be more of a traditional bendy that a lot of people are familiar with, you know, on a standard figure. But these segmented sections, which you traditionally see on a lot of toys, they would have ball joints in between each section. But what we're looking at doing here, similar to a lot of camera stands that you'd find in a store for, you know, cameras, TVs, things like that, where it's a heavy-duty bendable wire. We're actually looking at running this like through the segments. So, you know, for all intents and purposes, it's going to act like a bendy, but these separate segmented sections are going to give it more, especially on a large piece like that, it's going to give it a large range of motion. And so if you look at the paint masters that we have here, you can kind of see the amount of bend that we're going to be able to get into a tail. And so that's going to serve a couple of purposes. One, you're going to be able to get a dynamic pose out of your piece. But it's also going to allow, and this is something that I was very cognizant of working on this, is you're going to be able to, if this is on the top of your bookshelf, say, you're going to be able to take that tail, bend it around back into the figure's space, so it'll fit actually, at least in somewhat of a reasonable way, into your display space. And that's the same reason we decided to go with these bent wings on the base version, so that you're going to be able to take these wings, somewhat similar to the Paintmaster that's on the rock base over there. You're going to be able to take these wings and kind of compress them in as closely as possible to the, you know, the depth of the figure if you're looking at it from the side, so that it's just going to give the smallest, I guess, you know, footprint, cubic space. You know, I don't know how to quantify that, but to where, you know, you're going to be able to get this as into your display as possible. Because I know what it's like to put an action figure collection together. I know what space concerns are, and so we're trying to address this as much as possible, while at the same time making this the biggest, coolest dragon we can possibly do.
And it is. I mean, it's not just the coolest dragon I ever seen in action figure form, but it's one of the most amazing pieces in the action figure community now. Like, everybody's so excited. This is an incredible action figure. It's a centerpiece for every collection. You don't need even to collect Mythic Legions, Cosmic Legions, or Figura Obscura. This is a centerpiece regardless, anything. So I think even my wife will be happy to display this in the main room. But I got a question, and now, like, people are asking how you guys are gonna manage to offer this. Like, how it's gonna be a Kickstarter, it's gonna be a pre-order, it's gonna be a HasLab type of project. How it's gonna work? I know you guys still are like in the early process of this, but I guess you may have a little idea of how it's gonna be.
Yes. The plan right now is to offer it on Source Horsemen like we do any other pre-order. And I would say that this is probably going to be somewhere in between one of our normal pre-orders and more like a HasLab campaign than a Kickstarter. It's going to be, we're going to have some sort of a meter on the sale where you know, people can see how close we're getting to meeting our minimum funding goal, which you know, is essentially going to be, you know, what it's just going to take to cover tooling and production on this piece. And then I think what we're going to do is we're going to offer some sort of unlocks where, you know, if we cross that threshold, you know, we've got a fund on it, then as we move up further and further, we're just going to, you know, start throwing more into the package with the figure, you know, probably additional figures, you know, maybe additional accessories, where, you know, essentially the higher up we get on units sold, the more you're going to get in the package. And, you know, in a way that hopefully, this is the way people feel about it, you know, it's kind of lowering the price of the dragon itself because you're getting just more coolness in the box with that dragon.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And listen, everybody's super excited. LegionsCon was a total success, as always. I mean, this con to me is the best one out of all of the cons I ever been. That's why we come every single year. and this time was the double the size and attending. Like, it was crazy the amount of people that were here. Crazy, but it feels like family, and that's one of the main things I always say about LegionsCon. LegionsCon is more about the people, you know, because you guys always encourage that. You guys always encourage, like, not like everybody, the fans feel like family to you guys, and that's what you guys kind of like spread with this con, with your action figure line, with all the community. That's why I'm so happy to be part of the Four Horsemen Studios community, because you guys are awesome. So yeah, Eric, thank you so much. Thank you so much for this interview. I mean, we're excited. Let's see what's going on next. Maybe like a big castle. I don't know. You guys are like breaking the molds of everything. But yeah, really excited, and any last thoughts about like LegionsCon in general, like about what to expect and how people, I mean, what people can expect from the Four Horsemen Studios next?
I mean, I don't know just yet. You know, I can say I know what will happen at the next LegionsCon is that, you know, the group of people that are going to be there are going to be amazing. Like you said, it feels like family here. There's just such a comfort level, such a positivity, such a generosity that we see from everybody when we go into that room. It's, you know, people supporting each other, buying each other's products. Like, it's just we look so forward to it every year. And, you know, of course, part of it is we love revealing the pieces and it's exciting, but it really is about coming and visiting with people that, you know, generally see once a year, and it has that family reunion type feel to it. And yeah, I mean, we're just so grateful for everybody that comes here and supports the show and does it in such a classy and wonderful way. You know, I can't get over how amazing the people are here, and just the fact that we've crammed this many people into a hotel like this, and it's all positivity, and it's just I don't know, it's an incredible thing. So you know, obviously, if you have any interest at all, if you have heard of this, if you're into Mythic Legions, you should definitely come next year. You won't regret it. And, you know, to everybody who is here, everybody who's supporting Line, you know, thank you so much for all the support, and you know, I don't know, for being who you are and you know, the way that you are. You know, we couldn't thank you more for it.
Well, thank you so much, Eric, and see you next year.